Hello, my name is Jim Johnston, Principal Engineer and Business Director for Bath Process Safety Management located in Corpus Christi, Texas. We have created a set of informative videos in order to provide you with a basic understanding of various codes and recommended practices that relates to process electrical safety. We hope you find these videos informative and insightful. Should you have any questions or comments, please feel free to direct those comments to our website at www.bathpsm.com.
What are the major issues with the effective use of hazardous area classification documentation?
In my opinion, the major issues associated with using hazardous area classification documentation can be broken into three general categories. The first category is the lack of understanding regarding what should be included in the hazardous area classification documentation. The second category is the lack of knowledge regarding how and when to revise the hazardous area classification documentation. The third category is the lack of utilization of hazardous area classification documentation in the process safety risk assessment process. Let's further discuss the three categories to better explain what I mean. The first category addressed was hazardous area classification documentation. This documentation should include the following: the basis for determining the assessment results, drawings that are referenced to the unit or area plot plan, drawings showing both the plan and elevation views, the area classification, material grouping, and temperature class designation or ignition temperature for dust. If your hazardous area classification documentation includes this information, you have resolved the issue of the lack of understanding. The second category addressed is how and when hazardous area classification documentation should be revised. OSHA 1910.119, which was enacted into law in 1992, identified area classification as required process safety information for all covered processes. Because of this, the following is required. The documentation results must be based on the process technology and materials used in the unit. The area classification documentation must be kept evergreen or current. This evergreen state of documentation is to be maintained using the management of change process, process hazards analysis process, and company-specific document control standards and procedures. If your document control methodology includes these components, then you have properly addressed the issue of how and when to revise this documentation. The third category addressed is the effective utilization of hazardous area classification documentation. This documentation can provide key information for process safety risk assessments as follows. The hazardous area classification documentation should be used to support process safety risk assessments, such as PHAs, management of change evaluations, and building siting studies. The process safety information that documents the process technology and materials used in the production processes are also used as the basis for the hazardous area classification assessment. Hazardous area classification documentation shows the potential for non-catastrophic release of flammable materials, provides the classification, material grouping, and temperature class T code designations for class 1 materials and ignition temperature for dust. This information also sets the design criteria for electrical equipment and electrical equipment installation requirements. Incorporating these basic uses for hazardous area classification documentation resolves the lack of utilization issue. In summary, I hope this information provided in this video is useful in either avoiding a documentation pitfall or understanding the importance and utilization of proper hazardous area classification documentation. If you or someone in your organization desires additional information or services regarding this topic, please choose the link in this video description or go directly to our website at www.bathpsm.com.